Ever get that like weird feeling, where the internet feels kind of, I don't know, massive and like, well, untouchable at the same time?
Yeah, to
I
your
mean, we're
mind.
on it constantly, right? Browsing, clicking, streaming, it's like second nature. But have you ever stopped to think what the actual cost of all that digital stuff, what it's doing in the real world?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
It's been kind of bugging me lately, and guess what? Turns out all our online habits, they actually have a real impact, like a real environmental impact. So that's what we're diving into today, sustainable web development. We're going to break down some really interesting stuff from an episode of the WebTechFeed podcast. They're all about, the tech that makes the web go around.
Ah,
And to help us unpack all of it, I've got an expert in, well, eco-conscious tech right here with me, ready to, shed some light on how we can make our digital footprint a bit greener.
absolutely. I'm really stoked about this. It's a passion project for me, for sure.
You can just tell. All right, so first things first, what exactly is sustainable web development?
Right.
Like for someone who's hearing this for the first time.
Okay, so imagine building a house, right? You wouldn't want to use, like, materials that are going to harm the environment or need a ton of energy just to exist, would you?
Nope, definitely not.
Sustainable web development, it's basically the same idea, but applied to, like, the online world.
Hmm.
It's all about creating and maintaining websites, but doing it in a way that's, mindful of the planet, thinking about everything from the code itself to the servers, the whole shebang.
So it's like looking at the entire life of a website, but through these eco-conscious
Anyway,
glasses.
you got it.
Cool, cool. Okay, so let's say I'm a web developer listening in. Why should this matter to me? Why should I care about making my work like sustainably focused?
That's such a great question, and it's one we should all be asking ourselves. Honestly, a big part of it is just doing what's right. Right. Ethical responsibility. As web developers, we've got to consider the impact our work has on the environment. But beyond that, and this is important, there's a real business case for sustainability. Sustainable websites, they tend to be faster, way more efficient, and guess what? That often means they're more cost-effective in the long run. And let's be real, clients nowadays, they care about this stuff more and more. Picking a developer who's on the same page, who values sustainability, that can be a major deciding factor for them.
Makes total sense. Actually, WebTechFeed, they dove into some like core principles of this whole sustainable development thing. One that really stuck with me was optimizing energy consumption. Like they gave this example about image sizes, how much of a difference that can make.
Oh, absolutely. Optimizing images is huge. Think about it. Images are often like the biggest part of a website size. If you can compress those images properly, you can drastically cut down on the loading time, which directly means, less energy used.
Hmm.
There are studies out there that say optimizing images can shrink a website's weight by like 80%. That's a ton of energy saved.
80%, seriously. Wow, that,
Yeah,
that really puts it into perspective, right? How even the tiniest tweaks can make a real difference.
totally. It
Yeah.
adds up. And it goes way beyond just images, too. Making your code cleaner, using smart algorithms,
Wow.
even cutting down on unnecessary requests to the server. All these things contribute to a website that's faster, leaner, and, yeah, way more energy efficient.
That reminds me of something I read just the other day. Apparently, even a delay of 1 second, just 1 second, when a page is loading, that can cause a 7% drop in conversions.
Really? Wow.
So it's not just about being eco-friendly, right? It's about keeping people engaged, and ultimately that affects, well, everything, the bottom line.
Exactly. It's about hitting that sweet spot where user experience, performance, and sustainability, they all come together.
I love that. So we talked about making the websites themselves more efficient, but what about like the backbone, the infrastructure they're running on? WebTechFeed also mentions sustainable hosting, right?
Oh, 100%. Choosing a hosting provider that's powered by renewable energy sources, things like solar or wind, that's a huge step in the right direction. It's about making sure that from the ground up, your website is running on something sustainable.
That reminds me, I actually just switched over to a hosting provider that uses wind power for their data centers. And honestly, it felt pretty good just knowing that my website was contributing to, well, a greener internet.
That's amazing. It's those conscious choices, even if they seem small, they really add up to make a difference.
For sure. And actually, that kind of leads into another principle they touched on, minimizing digital waste. What does that even mean? What does digital waste look like?
Basically, it's about being really aware of the resources we're using in the digital world. And not just gobbling them up without a second thought. We're talking about bulky code, files just sitting there unused, even inefficient ways of storing data. It's about adopting this mindset of less is more, being intentional with what we create and how we create it.
So it's like digital decluttering.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just like you wouldn't leave all the lights on in a house if nobody was home, we've got to get rid of these energy drains in our digital spaces.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. So let's say someone's listening and they're like, all right, I'm in. How do I actually do this? What tools or resources are out there? WebTechFeed mentioned a couple.
They did. And a really good place to start is the Green Web Foundation. It's this incredible resource for finding those eco-friendly hosting providers we were just talking about. They've got this whole directory and even a browser extension that shows you how green a website is based on its hosting. Pretty cool.
That's a sustainability score for websites. That's awesome.
Exactly. And if you really want to dig deep into a website's performance, GTmetrix is your new best friend. It analyzes how fast your site is, and then it actually gives you tailored advice on how to make it even better.
Yeah.
You can see, like in real time, how the changes you make affect things like load times and other metrics.
We've even got those carbon footprint calculators now, don't they?
To do.
You can literally see what kind of environmental impact your website's having.
Super cool. A really powerful way to track your progress and see, the actual results of all the effort you're putting in.
For sure. And it's honestly amazing to see how much more aware people are becoming about this whole thing. What's even cooler is that sustainable web design, it usually makes for a better user experience too, wouldn't you say?
100%.
Yeah.
When you're focused on things like making it easy to navigate, clear layouts, fast loading times, you're not just saving energy, you're making the website a joy to use. Everybody wins, even the planet.
Right. It's like this positive feedback loop. Okay, last question. How can our listeners go about letting potential clients know that they're making these sustainable choices? How do you communicate that effectively?
Honestly, transparency is key. Just be upfront about it. Talk about the sustainable choices you're making during development. Put it right there on your website, include it in proposals. It's all about building trust and showing that you're serious about a greener web.
It's kind of like choosing sustainable materials for that eco-friendly house we were talking about before.
Exactly. It's at the selling point.
Yeah.
And it all ties together. Think about this. If the internet were an actual country, like a physical place, it would have the 6th largest carbon footprint in the entire world. That's huge.
Wow.
And as web developers, we've got this incredible opportunity, but also this responsibility to be part of the solution, to make things better.
That's a powerful thought to end on. Thanks so much for taking this deep dive with me. Honestly, I'm feeling really inspired to make some changes.
Me too. Absolutely.